So yeah, so the question here is, and I'll just throw out a couple things for you guys. You can clone any type of events on your back end. You just have to go to the content, manage posts, and then the cloning of, I'm sorry, not edit post settings, not manage posts. So it comes set with video property. So here's events on Frank's, for example. So in order to clone it, literally all you have to do is go actions and clone, and you can have a separate event type that you can start to edit. And so what I always recommend is, before anybody starts really dorking around or messing up at the default one, if you're going to do a whole ton of changes, I would never edit the original post type. I would always kind of just leave the base one alone as is, so you can kind of go back and clone it as it started at any time in the future if you wanted. And you can rename it to events old if you wanted. Just rename the old one after you make a clone, and then change the clone back to event, if that makes sense. So you could clone this, call it, it would come up with copy of event or whatever, and then that's unique. And then you change this one to events dash old and event old, and then go into your one you just cloned, and then rename that one event and events. And so now you kind of have the original one, and then your clone, and then you can go edit to your heart's content on that one. And then when you eventually screw it up, you can go, let me get, just kidding, delete, and then that one's gone, and then you still have the original one back in there for you to clone off from again. So that's just my input to everybody here watching. I'd always do that, and then you can go ahead and change everything. Now, you'll notice if you clone an event, it'll say copy of event, but it's going to use the exact same field form. It'll say event fields. So you can do the same thing for the forms. Once you clone your post type, I would also go to event fields. So now we're going to toolbox and form manager. Now I would find your events fields, your event form, and I would clone that and make a new clone of the form. And I think we went over this last week. I just want to show you where that is at in here as well. If you want to clone that, there's not in the actions for what reason, I don't know, but you have to go into customize and then change anything in there. I always just go to the first one, hit a space bar, and then hit save changes. Just do something. It needs to have some sort of change in order to make it a custom form, basically. So hit a space bar, hit save changes. It's going to go through a pop-up, and you hit save changes again. And then after you do that, it's going to show up in your custom forms up here. It won't be in the default. It'll be in the custom up here. And then once you are customized that form, then you edit that form that you just did, and now there's this new box that'll show up here, actions, and now there's an actions and clone button there. So then you do that, and then you name it something else. Let's say it's event fields 2 or whatever you want to call it, event fields new, whatever you name that. You have to have a new system name. And then now that you've made that new form and you kind of left the old one alone again, now go back to that on edit post settings, and then when you edit this event type, it's basically asking you which form you want to use. Now you just go in here and you pick that custom form that you made that was event fields 2 or new, whatever you did. Pick that new one from there, and now you can go mess around in that form, messing around in a new post type, and then you still have the old original form and the old original post type. In case you mess anything up with either the form or the post type, you can kind of go back and start anew. So that's kind of how you set up those post types and then set up the forms. And I'd always recommend whenever you're cloning those that you do that before you start messing around. Does that make sense to everybody, or anybody have any questions on that?